Welcome back to the 38th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. We are feeling catty today, aren't we? I'll tell you what,
All right, so this is
I didn't know who was going to be the villain this week. I've got the DVDs and, they just I just start it and it just goes um, uh, and after the first two episodes of the season with the Archer, I was kind of like, well, it could be anybody. Like let's just let's just see who it's gonna be. And right away, it's pretty clear that it's Catwoman and it's Julie Newmar as Catwoman, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like
I was excited too. Of course,
yeah.
I always do my note. I start my notes off and do the show notes stuff. So I find out who the villain is right before I watch the episode.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know until I watched it and I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good.
So this is Batman season 2, episode 3, Hot Off the Griddle. Episode aired Wednesday, September 14th, 1966, directed by Don Weiss and written by Stanley Ralph Ross, who wrote the 2 episodes of The Archer we just watched. So I thought that was unusual that we got the same writer again the very next story arc.
Yeah, it is interesting. And yeah, you kind of think, uh-oh. But well, we'll talk about it, but I think the results are a lot better here.
I have to agree with you there. 11 p.m. in Gotham City. A cat burglar breaks into Lacey's department store and steals a catalog. It parachutes out the window into the waiting arms of Catwoman. The Gotham City Nautical Society. The cat burglar steals a catamaran. Did I pronounce that right? Catamaran?
Yeah.
Yeah. The cat burglar steals a catamaran and parachutes it into Catwoman's hands. Russell Arms Apartments. A parachute carrying mittens lands in Catwoman's hands.
What's
these
what's
these
what's
are strange things to be stealing.
They are, but I mean, they're on brand for Catwoman, and I just love the fact that once again, just like in their first appearance in first season, she gets special treatment as far as her introduction. She doesn't just walk in a room. We see her claws first. We see, her silhouette first. Then we see her. Then it's revealed that it's her, and not just Catwoman, but it's Julie Newmar's Catwoman. Like Catwoman and Julie Newmar are back, and we talked about it during the movie. No offense meant to Lee Merriweather, none at all. But man, Julie Newmar she's just Catwoman. She just is. And I mean, to see her back in the first like 2 minutes of this, you're just like, okay, this is how season one, two, or this is how the season should have started. Like
I'm surprised it didn't start it off with Catwoman. That would have made more sense than the Archer.
maybe, but like I said before, not to dismiss anything that happened, but I mean, Art Carney was a big, big name. So to have him be featured in the first two episodes of the season from a ratings point of view makes sense to me. So the episodes didn't play out as well as we'd hoped, but still, I think, you could still use that name to garner uh attention for people to watch it. So and to get the ratings. But here we got Catwoman. So yeah. Yeah.
The next day, the next day at Wayne Manor, Bruce and Dick are preparing their telescope for the eclipse that is coming tomorrow. Alfred interrupts to let them know about the bat phone. Commissioner Gordon informs Batman that Catwoman is not dead and is living in Gotham City.
This is amazing to me because, as we pointed out when we reviewed the movie, there seemed to be some disconnect between like Julie Newmar's Catwoman and Lee Merriweather's Catwoman because when we, in the first Catwoman story, the only Catwoman story from season one, she seemingly dies at the end of the episode. And she comes, she's back in the movie, but you're kind of like, well, there's no continuity, there's no explanation as to, why she's alive, et cetera, et cetera. They just kind of move on. And it seems like a different Catwoman. Not just because it's played by someone else, just character the way she's written. It just seems different. Um, and here it's played by Julie Newmar. The character is played by Julie Newmar. And Commissioner Gordon says Catwoman is alive. And you're like, yes, she is. And it's almost like the movie doesn't happen. This as it plays out too, and we'll see as this storyline plays out, it's like the Catwoman movie no, didn't exist at all. Which is kind of even though they reference this like the first season, nothing that plays out here except for one scene that we'll probably talk about. Nothing plays out really that really was in the movie at all. So it's almost like I don't know if the writers just made the decision or if even Julie Newmar made the decision like I'm just going to ignore that that I didn't play her in the movie and just continue on. So, but yes, she's alive. Alive.
The only thing I have to say about that is it's possible that the movie takes place at some other time, even though they showed it between the seasons.
I mean, sure. What, yeah. I mean, it's very rare. Here we are in season two. It's very rare that we get references to other episodes, other past episodes. You don't have to have watched. This is not the continuity here is and the canon here is all up in the air. They never really they very rarely reference past episodes, past storylines with other characters. Every once in a while. I think we made a point to mention that it was amazing that in the movie when Penguin gets in the Batmobile, he calls it the Birdmobile because that's what he called it in the show, like in the last episode where he stole the Batmobile that he was in. So that was pretty cool that there was a reference to that as far as continuity goes. But really, like we saw, multiple appearances by the Riddler and the Joker and Penguin in season one, and they never really referenced their past stories at all. Like they just
probably,
like, yeah.
probably because they don't want to remember them. Batman defeats him every time.
Sure.
At police headquarters, Batman learns that the mittens came from the 10th floor apartment of Andrew S. Kitten, a parent of triplets. All three of these crimes are cat oriented. Back at the Batcave, Batman decides to plan a story in the Gotham newspaper to capture Catwoman.
Batman
Batman
lying to the press
contacts.
again. Batman lies to the press. He has no regard for the press. He only uses the press to lie to them and plant stories. That's all we ever see of Batman in the press.
Batman contacts Jack O'Shea, whose office is the third phone booth in Glob's drugstore. Batman asks him to place an item in his column about a rare species of canary that is being exhibited on the 12th floor of the Gotham City Natural History Museum.
I think
This
a
is
couple
weird.
well, yeah, I think sort of redundant to say that about this show, right? But I think
Yes.
I think it's kind of an interesting comment when Batman's talking, like when he's about to call Jack O'Shea, and he doesn't quite say he doesn't like him, but he says he's a bit too theatrical for me. Which I I don't know what to make of that. I mean, Batman's pretty much, straight and narrow, so If you're, a little bit too campy, a little bit too theatrical, a little bit too, I don't know. Anyway, I also think it's cool too that when he goes to dial him, they use an auto dialer. And I think in the 60s, those were pretty rare. Like, we auto dialers, were, in the 80s, 90s or whatever. I mean, they were pretty, they didn't look like that, but it was pretty, you could do an auto dial pretty quickly. You could even bank them in your phone and have memories and stuff yeah, it was pretty easy to do. Um, but back then, you always had to use your finger. Let your fingers do the talking. That's what the phone company's motto was, I think, at that point. So yeah, but so it was kind of interesting to see this like weird dialing device there that was pretty cool.
At Catwoman's lair, she receives a call from Jack O'Shea, who warns her that Batman has arranged a trap on the 12th floor of the Gotham City Natural History Natural History Museum.
I don't know what kind of arrangement that they have because she's got a special, like he has a special device. He doesn't call her on the phone. He has a special device that goes right to her. But she doesn't want anything to do with him other than get information. And of course, he's still looking for someone to have lunch with. But he gives her this scoop, this big scoop about, Batman setting a trap for nothing. Like he gets nothing in return. So they have a weird dynamic, a weird relationship there, for sure.
In the Batcave, Batman prepares the Batjets, a device that contains enough compressed Batshun to lift a 5,000-pound automobile 500 miles into the air. They haven't had a chance to test them yet, but they might have to use them eventually. Robin tells Batman he thinks of everything. Batman tells Robin that they must be prepared at all times.
I think and Alfred doubles down on that. And right before that though, we've cut to the Batcave. Right before that, after Catwoman is done dealing with O'Shea, she goes to give lessons to her cat burglars for how to break in and steal things. And she's got a chalkboard. And it's interesting because Batman at the beginning of the episode, because he's writing down the clues, he's got a chalkboard too. So I do think where they're setting this up that they in some ways have this sort of parallel uh relationship is kind of strong at this point, but there's parallels between them, and they will continue with more parallels as this show goes on. But I did think it was interesting that it sets it up that both of them have chalkboards that they are using to talk to their pupils. In case Batman, it's Robin, and with Catwoman, it's her cat burglars, who she has three of them now. She said that the call went out and she originally had 12, but nine of them, I guess, couldn't get the job done. So they failed miserably. So apparently working with Catwoman is in high demand if she had 12 burglars to start off with. And I think we could see why. I mean, it's pretty like when she's on that throne of hers, that I think it looks like the throne from season one. Looks like the same kind of layout that she had in season one. I don't know. But I mean, Julie Newmar in that cat suit just does things to a person. The way she moves, it's just you get the feeling that you're like, I don't know if this should be on something for kids.
At the Gotham City Natural History Museum, Batman and Robin wait in the dark. One of Catwoman's cat burglars climbs through the window. Batman turns on the light, catching him red handed. Batman and Robin surround the henchmen, stating they wish Catwoman had come herself. The henchman tells them that Catwoman is right behind them. Holy cliche! Robin tells Batman, does he expect us to fall for that old trick? Catwoman tells Robin that he has a lot to learn. Batman turns around and calls Catwoman a witch. Catwoman states that with all his attributes, Batman hasn't learned the first thing about good manners. A gentleman should a gentleman should kiss a lady's hand. Batman states that Catwoman is not a lady. Catwoman orders her henchmen to get them.
Yeah, not only did he say you're no lady, you're and we don't get to see he doesn't get to finish that sentence as Catwoman cuts him off. It's like, oh man, Batman is really riled up here. So I don't, it's interesting. I don't, like I said, I don't think Julie is looking at the events from the movie at all. She wasn't there. She doesn't care. She's just building on what she did in the first, season that she played this part. Whereas Adam might be channeling some of that Lady Kitka stuff that he got involved with, with the character, with Bruce and the character in the movie, because it does seem like Batman is really hostile towards Catwoman in a lot of these scenes. So I do wonder if they're coming at it from a different angle, and it does play weird off each other in that respect. But it is kind of a cool moment. Holy cliche is probably one of my favorite Robin utterances that we've had so far. I just think that's awesome, especially when he says it. Catwoman is standing right there, like right behind him, and it just looks like she's practically breathing on them. And it's just really fun.
A fight ensues. When she realizes her men are losing, Catwoman stops the fight. Catwoman pulls out a Catwoman pulls out two dart guns. She tells Batman the darts have been dipped in catatonic, just enough to paralyze them for a few minutes. Catwoman hits each of the Cape Crusaders with the darts. Catwoman has her henchmen throw Batman and Robin out the window to fall to their deaths.
A
Luckily for
really,
Batman,
really direct, like we don't usually get them like set up as such a direct like occurrence very often. Like she's just like, let's just toss them out the window. Like no setup, no tying them up and taking them somewhere, no trying to find out who they are. She's just like, let's just toss them out the window. And I'm like, wow. And they do. They toss him out the window. And it's like, wow, we don't even get a sense we don't even, we can't even really like, we're kind of freaked out about it, really. It seems such like a violent, sudden turn of events. Um, it's crazy. I love it.
luckily for Batman and Robin, they had Captain Ahab from the White Whaling Company put a net out just in case Catwoman had thrown to catch the canary cage she might have tossed out the window. Sorry, I didn't write that very good.
Yeah, I don't it was kind of weird how it was there. I mean, I think the I think the key here though is that Batman and Robin were saved by fishnets. And and I mean, make of that what you will.
Back at police headquarters, Batman reads an article written about them by Jack O'Shea, who tells the public that Batman and Robin failed to capture Catwoman.
Batman seems so surprised. He's like, why is he so, I think he used where's all the vitriol coming from? I think he uses that word. It's like, Batman, you treat the press like crap. Why why should they trust you? Why should they have anything nice to say about you? But yeah, it does seem kind of fun. That he's just like he's so like incensed. He's like, what did I ever do to this guy? Like, well, you promised that you kind of suggested that you were gonna have lunch someday, and you didn't. So.
Chief O'Hara brings in one of Catwoman's henchmen that was captured last night.
They
He
caught
doesn't know.
one, Drew. The cops caught a bad guy. I don't know if that's the first time it's ever happened on this show.
Did they capture him? or did Batman and Robin capture him and hand him over?
Batman and Robin were surprised. They were just standing there, and Chief O'Hara walks in and says, "We caught one." And I'm like, now, I think it could be suggested that this they didn't really catch him, like because he's planting information clues for them. So it's possible that he's just, he gave himself up, or he allowed himself to be caught. But still, I was like, "Oh my God, the cops did something."
He doesn't know where Catwoman's hideout is, but he does remember hearing rock and roll music in the background. He also mentions that he hears about He also mentions that he hears a bunch of cats meowing whenever the music stops. Whatever his caper is, or what, jeez, whatever her caper is, she plans on carrying it out tonight.
Perfectly understandable for you to be flustered when talking about a Julie Newmar episode. It's okay.
Back at Wayne Manor, Aunt Harriet is dancing to music. She wants Alfred to dance too, but
Madge
he's
speaks.
yes.
We have had speechless Madge for like a few episodes now. Finally, not only is she speaking, she's dancing.
She wants Alfred to dance too, but he states he can't because of an old war injury. Doctor's orders.
Uh-huh.
Lame excuse, Alfred.
Yeah, yeah. It's not, yeah, it doesn't really quite cut it.
Dick Grayson yanks the record off the player, stating this music is awful. And Harriet states it's the latest dance, the Cat Tusi,
Here we
by
go.
Benedict Arnold and the Traders.
Yeah. Obviously a play on Paul Revere and the Raiders, who will be referenced again on this show, in a big way, I think. But yeah, the Catusi, again, sort of this parallel between the bat and the cat, right? Because we know that Batman has his Batusi, so it's only right that the Catwoman has her dance too.
The Cat Tusi started a few weeks ago at a new restaurant on the west side called the Pink Sandbox.
That's also known as the litter box. The Pink Sandbox. Okay.
Batman and Robin check out the restaurant. A waitress dressed in a pink cat outfit tells them their specials are cat burgers with catsup.
This isn't just
Catsup.
this isn't just any waitress. This is uh I believe her name is Edie Williams, and she is a model of at the time in 1968, 60, late 60s. She was a very, very wild, provocative model. That she was known as being a wild child. She appears in several movies. A few years after this, she's in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. She shows up in other kind of movies like The Naked Kiss and Bad Girls from Mars. She is yeah, she's still around actually. I'm not sure how wild she is these days, but she is quite the wild woman of the 60s, and makes appearances in a lot of most provocative manner. So I wouldn't Google her if you were at work. Uh, on a work computer. So yeah, but it's so yeah, she pops up here, and my understanding is that she will also appear at some other point on this series. But I don't think she'll be playing the same character, but we'll see about that. But in any case, so yeah, not exactly a Dick Clark or Jerry Lewis type cameo, but one of note, I thought.
Batman tells the waitress to come back in a few minutes and he will give her their orders. Robin leans over and whispers to Batman, "Holy epicure, Catwoman is smart to use the restaurant as a cover up. Batman states that this time they will turn the tables on her. Suddenly, the table turns, throwing Batman and Robin into a metal room with no doors.
I love that. It's surprising to me that this is the same writers because this script seems so much sharper, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Than the Archer one. It just seems like everything's working here. And it, you've got Catwoman, you've got Julie Newmar back, and of course she's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but it just seems like everything is a little bit more like that spark that we were missing from the first two episodes of the season. It seems like it's really on fire here. Like it just like it's this episode moves. There's been a lot happening so far, and it's all just been bang, bang, bang. Really great stuff. Yeah, so they're thrown into this situation, which is not that different from when they were, captured by the Catwoman the first time. They were put in a box-like environment that she could control as well. So,
yeah. So very similar to that first episode.
yes,
Okay, I gotta find myself. Catwoman yells from above, stating the early bird catches the Batman. She's not pussyfooting around this time. She plans to kill Batman and Robin.
she, Robin asks Batman, "What are we going to do, Batman?" And Catwoman, before Batman can reply, Catwoman says, "What are you going to do? You're going to die." And it just floored me. Like the way she says it is just, it's sweet because it's Julie Newmar. It's sweet, it's sexy, but it's also like dangerous and deadly and so outright. Like, usually the villains here kind of, to use a cat term, pussyfoot around. Like they usually like are a little bit more, less obvious than that, right? But she just tells this boy wonder, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna die." It just I love it. It's this dialogue and the delivery of this kind of dialogue is just so on the nose here.
Batman replies that Catwoman cannot frighten them with any of her threats, calling her a feline sorceress. They will come o- they will overcome her satanic schemes.
Satanic. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Devil woman. I don't think we've heard the Prince of Darkness's name mentioned on this show yet
I
before.
don't think so either. Catwoman reveals to Batman that if they weren't on opposite sides of the law, she could go for him. He is the only man she has met lately that would be worthy of her. Holy lovebirds! Robin thinks that Catwoman is sweet on Batman.
But like from the events of the movie, it's kind of like, well, we should already be in this place, but yet Julie Newmar's Catwoman hasn't gotten there yet. So this is all foreplay. I feel like this is all foreplay. Like they're gonna get here. By the end, I imagine by the end of this, like in the second part of this, I'm guessing that the connection between Batman and Catwoman will be really solidified as far as their chemistry together. But in this one, it seems like they're still kind of bonking heads, which it's just really playful and really fun to watch.
Catwoman reveals that the Joker called her for a date last Monday. She thinks he's fairly attractive, but she can't stand his green hair. And the penguin is too short for her.
Yeah. I mentioned that there's no reference to the movie from Julie's character, and this is the only thing that I could account for. Like, okay, she knows them, and we know she knows them because they were all in a movie together and they were all working together. And of course, we don't see it in the movie. All the three male villains never make a play for Catwoman in the movie. But how could they not?
Catwoman activates the floor and it grows very hot. Batman and Robin start dancing around. Catwoman dumps two eggs on the floor and they start to cook, sunny
Uh,
side up.
yeah, that's just ridiculous. It's fun, but it's also just ridiculous that she just got this compartment that she could just drop eggs down. Like I'm like, okay, all right, that's crazy. But we don't mind it because we're seeing Julie Newmar wiggle around on top of this open window that she could see them at from the top, and it's just she's so enjoying this moment that she's frying them. And yeah, you think this is going to be the big end for them, but there's more.
Robin points out a water pipe. Batman punches a hole in it. Instead of water, it is liquid catatonia. The fumes start spewing into the room. Batman and Robin pass out.
Yeah, and when they do so, they should be fried on the floor. That should be done. Like that should be over, right? But no.
No. Minutes later, Batman and Robin wake up on the roof of the building tied to giant grills. Catwoman explains to Batman the reflectors have been greased with margarine to make them more friable. Giant magnifying glasses are placed over Batman and Robin. Is their goose really cooked? Will Batman and Robin stew in their own juice? Are all their plans and dreams to go up in smoke? The answer to these and other burning questions tomorrow. Same cat time, same cat channel.
Return of the Cat Time Cat Channel, which yes, awesome. Um, there's a music cue that I noticed, and I think I've heard it before in this series, but I really picked up on it at the end of this episode where they're brought to the roof, and there's this sort of music cue that's really reminiscent of the Twilight Zone, what's known as the Twilight Zone theme, where it goes do 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 do. Like I was like, are we in the Twilight Zone here? Like I'm like, what's going on? Um, but even though yes, they should technically be fried as soon as they hit the floor of that chamber, they're brought to this roof in this really visually ridiculous setup, but they're on two huge human-sized grills with huge magnifying, even like massive magnifying glass is pointed at them. Um, it looks, yeah, exactly. Drew's got some magnifying glass out. Look out, don't burn your eye. Uh, don't fry your eye. Catwoman's up there making jokes about, bat on a hot tin roof, and Batman says that's not funny, and they're still kind of in the early stages of flirting, I think. I feel like this is just awkward flirting from both of them. Um, and I don't know if it's intentionally written that way, but it certainly to me played that way. And I'm here for it. I just think this is this is wonderful. Like this episode was so good. Um, it's got all the crazy stuff that we love. Julie Newmar is back as Catwoman, which I love, and it's just got these crazy things that are happening here. But it all seems to be proceeding. It's like we don't really care what her goal is. We don't really find out what her goal because she hasn't really reached it. She just says that she's gonna do it with Batman and Robin out of the way. She's now free to do whatever her big plan is. So we've yet to find out what that's going to be. I have no idea how they're going to get out of this. We've seen Batman use a reflector to burn his way through ropes and get undone from traps before. So, it stands to reason that it's possible that something similar could happen here, but uh I don't know. I've learned not to try to guess how they're going to get out of situations because nine times out of ten, it's just I could never come up with the situation, the results that they do.
Yes, because half the time they're ridiculous.
Exactly. So I love this. This is everything I want in a Catwoman episode. And more, I think. So how did you feel about this first part of his Catwoman return?
I was very excited about it. When I knew it was Catwoman and it was Julie Newmar Catwoman, I was very excited for this episode. I didn't remember this one,
Yeah,
but
I can't say I did either, so
I was very excited for it. And honestly, I think this should have been the season opener. I think it would have been more exciting as the season opener. So
Yeah, I think it's, we're in for a long season. And I know that some of the big bads that we loved in season one are going to return, but there's also going to be a lot of new villains. Some are going to be successful and go on to reappear, and some of them are going to be one and dones, and they're going to fall flat, I think. So it's going to be a long season, Drew. Um, so uh, so it's nice to see that, that we've got that at least the ones with Catwoman and the ones that, it would have been really disappointing if Catwoman had returned, Julie Newmar had returned, and it'd been kind of a okay episode. Like that's just not possible. Right? Like that's just not acceptable, right? The writers, if they were the same, they stepped it up for this one, and I appreciate that because this was full of really really great moments. Even at Harriet dancing around the room doing the Katusi. Come on, man, that's awesome. We don't even see Catwoman do the Katusi.
no, we don't, do we? Maybe she'll do it next episode.
Maybe we could only be so lucky. I don't know. Maybe that was too much for the censors. I mean, just her moving around and sitting is just is like a warning enough.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
I do have a shout out. My shout out this week is going to, we do since this is a cat related episode, I do have to try to give a shout out to, I mean, I'm a big cat guy, and I know Drew, you have cats as well. Do you have multiple cats?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
got two cats.
we are both very cat friendly. And one of the organizations that I support is the Orphan Kitten Club. And what they do is they take care of kittens that have been abandoned by their mothers for one reason or another in the wild. And when they get found by people, they are taken and they are taken care of. And Michelle and I have personal experience of taking care of kittens that are really like new, like just born and have to, fend for themselves. And it's not easy. The first few months of a kitten's life is very touch and go. So it's a lot of work for people to do, and yeah, I think it's great that there's an organization that helps with information for to help people that can do it themselves, or helps sponsor organizations and pet shelters around the country to do it as well. So yeah, so it's called the Orphan Kitten Club, and you can go to orphankittenclub.org and find out more information about them. And I can't say enough good things. They've certainly helped Michelle and I through some times where we really needed assistance. Not financial assistance. They just give out grants or money to everybody, but for information and for resources, they are the best.
All right. And for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about my other show, the Earth Station DCU, because we just got done wrapping up the Penguin series.
Yes, we
So,
did.
which Mike joined us on for, well, you joined us for the very first episode, and then you joined us again for the last episode to kind of wrap it up with us.
I did.
So,
Very, very glad to do so. It was great to be invited to the on the Penguin Party to talk all about the new version of the Penguin.
so yes, that was very exciting, and that series was awesome. So,
Yeah,
if you haven't
spoiler
checked
alert,
it
we
out
loved it.
yet, check it out.
Spoiler to our review, we all really loved it.
So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's on Max, and tune into our station DCU and listen to our review of it. All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right. Are you ready to get out of here, Cat Chum?
BatChums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel.
Don't worry, the worst is yet to come. Meow.